All right, so we just found, this is kind of the third video, I guess, but we just found what x is, and so as I said before, we know we got to find y and z as well. We got to find what all three variables equal, so we got to keep going. But um, the good news is it kind of speeds up from here. It doesn't take nearly as long to find y as it did to find x in this case, so, or z or whatnot. So let's kind of move on. Here we go. We just found x, and so now what we need to do is find either y or z. It really doesn't matter what order you find the variables in. It just happens that we found x first. You can find z first or y first. It really doesn't matter. And so let's go on. And so once you've found one of the variables, x, y, or z, then the next step is to find the other two variables. And so what you're going to do is you could take this x value, and instead of what you're going to do is you're going to plug it in. And so you could, what you don't want to do is you don't want to plug it into one of these original three variable or equations. And the reason why is, if you plug in x equals 4 into this first equation, what will happen is you'll still have a y and a z. And so you don't know you can't solve for a variable, when you have two of them. You need just one variable to solve for it and figure out what it equals. So what you are going to do is you're going to take this variable, x equals 4, and you're going to plug it into either this equation or back up. See if I can actually draw it all the way up there to this equation. And the reason why is these two equations, these red equations, only have two variables. They only have an x and a z. And so when I plug in x equals 4 into one of these two equations, all I'm going to have left is a z, and then I can solve for the z. So it doesn't matter which one I pick. I could pick either one, and I'm just going to pick this one over here because it's, there's more space here, I guess. And so I'm going to take x equals 4, and I'm going to plug it in for x, and then solve for z. So I have 9 times 4. Let's actually undo that there, see if I can actually draw that or write that correctly. 9 times 4 minus 4z equals 36. And so now I'm just going to figure out what this equals. So we have 9 times 4 is 36 minus 4z equals 36. All right, I'm going to solve for z here. So I'm going to subtract 36, and I get negative 4z equals 0. And so, what makes that 0? Z equals 0. So that right there is my second variable. So now I know x and I know z. And so the last thing I need to do is I need to find y. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these variables, x and z, because I know values for them, and I'm going to plug them into one of these three original equations. Again, it doesn't matter which equation we pick, right? I can pick the first one, the second one, the third one, and they'll all give me the same answer, okay? Because this is a solution. It'll work for all of them. So let's try that. Let's take this original one, number 1, just because it's number 1, and let's plug in x and z into it, and then solve for y. So I'll write it over here. So I'm going to have 4x, well, instead of x, I'm putting 4, plus 4y, okay, plus z, well, z I know is 0, so I'll write 0, and that's equal to 24. Okay, and so let's go ahead and solve this. So 4 times 4 is 16, plus 4y plus 0 is 0, is equal to 24. Okay, and I'm just going to keep solving this, right? Subtract 16, and I get 4y is equal to, what did I give me, 8? And so that means that y will equal 2. Okay, and so there goes my y. I got all three variables. And so you could write your solution like that, x equals 4, y equals 2, and z equals 0. The way they'll probably write this on a multiple choice test or on the CRT, I guess, is like this. You just write them as an ordered triple. So I got 4, 2, and 0. Okay, and that right there would be my solution. Okay, so that's one of these problems. Okay, and so that's if there is a solution. Okay, and so in the other videos, we'll talk about when there is no solution or infinitely many solutions and what that looks like. Okay, and so that's one problem. It might be good to practice this before you move on or rewatch them. These are kind of long videos. But there it is. That's the first one we did. So congratulations.